Hello, and welcome to another gaming pickup video. As I said last week, this is probably going to be the last one before Christmas, because hopefully Christmas will be Game City. And we always like Game City. Right. Just a few things I've picked up over the last couple of months. Have been kind of toning it down on quite the volume I've been buying games at over the last year. Definitely toning it down, trying to save for a house, which would be nice. That would be lovely. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so I guess I'll just kind of go... Let's go front to back. Let's go front to back. So I'll probably start with the 9th gen, 8th gen, blah, 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 blah. Right the way back to 5th, because why not? So, starting with Immortals of Avium. I've mostly finished this. I'm kind of on the last boss fight. It's a solid 7 out of 10. Definitely a solid 7 out of 10. It's not great. It's not great. And quite frankly, the marketing was very heavy on what I'm going to deem Call of Duty talk, which is like, oh yeah, prepare for combat drop and all that crap. It isn't. It's not written like that, so I'm not entirely sure why they went with that angle in the marketing. And yeah, it felt like the game was over quicker than it maybe should have been. I felt like there was at least another couple of boss fights in there that they should have had, but nope. We get lumped at the final boss after stomping through the ocean with a big old magic mech, which sounds cooler than it is. I don't mind the game. The world building's fine. I kind of got turned onto it by Skyrian, who did... What did Skyrian do? Yes, he got sponsored to do a video on the Ever War, which, terrible name. But I guess they couldn't call it the Forever War because that's a novel by Philip K. Dick about kind of time travel Vietnam. Is probably the best way I can sum it up, and the inability for soldiers to come home without basically going, while feeling completely out of sorts and completely detached from the society they left behind. But yeah, Immortals of Avium is not that clever. It's not that clever in its writing. In fact, it's painfully cliche in a lot of different ways and stupid in others. But really solid combat, really solid magic system. Moving on. Here's a game my wife didn't like. Postal 4. Mostly pick up a lot of the games like this because Civi 11 covers them, and yeah, it's as horrific and insane and as stupid as you can feasibly play it. I did play it with Rick Hunter because he's the original Postal dude. I also would have maybe played it with Corey Cruz because Corey Cruz did a bang-up job in Postal 3, even if Postal 3 was the equivalent of getting your, ass washed with cactus. But yeah, solid game. Over very quickly. I finished it in like a day. Admittedly, I was using cheats for some of that, but what are you gonna do? If there's a game and I can play it with cheats, I'm gonna play it with cheats. Next game. I'm a big fan of 7th gen. That was kind of the generation that I spent most of my teenage years going through. Playing stuff like Halo 3, Halo Reach, Inversion, if anyone remembers that, Gears of War, blah, blah, blah. And Fear. Specifically Fear 2, Fear 3, and I've tried to beat the first Fear, but I'm not good at it. I'm very bad at it. So, when I heard that there was a Fear-like out there, in the form of Trepang 2, really kind of had to get it. My wife was wonderful enough to kind of buy it for me. It's basically Fear. Yeah. It's basically Fear. It's very much this. I haven't played it yet. I will be. I will be playing it very shortly. especially after the disappointment that was Immortals. And the pseudo-disappointment in Postal 4, I think Postal 4 could have been better, but that's just me. Still solid, still a very good game, hardly recommend, but Trepang 2, very looking forward to this. Heard it through Jarek the Gaming Dragon, if anyone watches him. Solid YouTuber, covers a lot of first-person shooters. Why not? So, that's 9th gen. That's it, because there's no new Nintendo console, and I objectively refuse to buy anything from Xbox anymore, because sort of... So, that leaves 8th gen, Pong Quest. I'm kind of making it a mission to get as many Atari games that they're publishing in physical form as possible. I'm still waiting on the Atari Recharged collection that came out, that was announced from Limited Run last year, and it's still not here, which is great. That's perfectly fine. In the meantime, I've got Pong Quest, which did arrive from them. Thank you very much. It's an RPG about Pong. Why would I not buy this? Up to 4 players, which is pretty sick. Only two network. Only 2 online. That's very bizarre. But I've kind of wanted this for a long time. Pong Quest was released back in 2020, if I remember correctly. And how could I not get it physically? I mean, it looks wonderfully stupid. I'm yet to play it. I've got a bit of a backlog going on at the moment. I've been kind of playing through some of my older games that I've missed, because why not? But yeah, that's it for PlayStation. There wasn't much PlayStation this time around. It's been mostly Nintendo and Sega. We'll get to Sega, but now we're going to kind of plow through all of the Nintendo stuff, apart from one game, but we'll get to that. Pikmin 4. I've been trying to get into the Pikmin series since 2010. Back in the day, I had like a list of the 5 games I absolutely had to have. That included Stubbs the Zombie, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Pikmin 2, Killer 7, and Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, the PC game specifically. I may cover that in a video, but yeah, anyway. But I couldn't quite get into Pikmin. I tried the first one, I don't like it. I tried 2, I like 2, but I'm not super into 2. I got 3 when it came out on the Wii U, it was terrible. I got 3 when it came out on the Switch, it was better, but still terrible. Then my wife, for our anniversary, bought me Pikmin 4, and it's very good. It's currently battling another game for Game of the Year in how much I've liked it. I haven't finished it yet because it is extremely long, and there's a mode in here called Dandori Battle, which is basically a sort of 1v1 collectathon sort of thing in a small arena, and I find that to be a tad bit of a slog. So yeah, that's kind of why I haven't finished this yet, as well as just trying to unlock everything is a bit of a freaking ball ache. But really solid game, hell of a lot of fun, heartily recommend it. And I got in such a Pikmin mood from it, I got Pikmin 1 and 2 as well. I like Pikmin 2 a lot, and I'm really hoping that they've maybe poked around a little bit in this. Because, you know, yeah, I'm just hoping that they've added something into that to make it a bit worthwhile. Okay, this is a game I've had like once before on the Wii U. I'm not big on buying Wii U games that came out on Switch as well. I do it occasionally. I bought it, but mostly when they've gotten brand new content. This doesn't have brand new content, and that's Bayonetta 2. However, it kind of battles Hyrule Warriors for my favourite Wii U game. I absolutely love Bayonetta 2, and having it on Switch, kind of needed it. This does have the This does have the Bayonetta 1 code, but yeah, it obviously doesn't work because it's already been scratched, so that's great. But, really solid game. I think it has the multiplayer locally. Cool. But yeah, it's not terrible. I played a bit of the multiplayer back in the day. I was really disappointed that you couldn't use Father Boulder or the Masked Lumen. Sorry, spoilers. You couldn't use the Masked Lumen throughout the single player campaign, which kind of sucks. You could use Jean. I think there's another character you can use, but Rodan and Masked Lumen. No go. Bit of a pity. But that, from one game battling angels and also demons in 2, to fighting also angels and demons in neon white. Yeah. This game. I want to like it more than I do. I think it is a irritating game. I think it's irritating on a lot of different levels. But I also sort of have fun with it, but more often than not, I'm pissed off. It's kind of a game built around repetitive redoing things over and over and over and over and over again. It's built to be speedrunned. Speedrun. Or is it speedrun? Sod it. It's a speedrunning game, and fine, cool. The premise looked interesting. I like the art design. The gameplay is fine. It's just not. It's not as good as I'd really hoped it would be. That kind of has been a huge running trend this year. There's been a lot of games coming out that I have been hugely disappointed by, or just really haven't liked as much. It's been a bit of a crap year for games for me. I know for everyone else, they're like, oh my god, all these amazing things are going out. But for me, not quite. I mean, my favourite game of this year is Pikmin 4. Currently tied with maybe Postal 4 at the moment. Or maybe another game. Tabs. I bought the limited run. I bought the super rare version of Tabs. And that's currently also battling out for a favourite game of the year. But speaking of games I was hugely disappointed about, Bolt Gun. I don't know how a game that looks like Doom, runs like Doom, and basically is Doom's, 2016, but not as terrible. Well, sorry, I don't much care for Doom in general, but I don't know how a game that old and running like this runs so poorly. I really don't. I should have got it on PS5, to be honest with you, but it's fine. It's fine. It plays like pretty much every other retro first-person shooter I've played. It really does nothing new. It's not like, say, Strife. I got Strife last year. That game is a weird hybrid of Doom and, of all things, Deus Ex, in kind of how it tells its story and the choices you make. It's very bizarre. But yeah. And we continue the trend of with Sonic Superstars. I like this game. I do. I think it's a lot of fun. I like its character. I like the character designs this time around. I like the general vibe of this game. It really reminds me of kind of classic Sonic, but at the same time, I'm not a huge classic Sonic fan. I didn't grow up on that. I grew up on Unleashed, I grew up on blah blah blah. I mean, I played a bit of the Frontiers demo before I realised that the characters are just so affably, that's not even a word, so craply programmed in their movement. It's just, the physics all over the place. Like, attempting to come to a stop with fucking any of them makes you slide all around the place. I cannot say that of Superstars. Superstars is very, very tight in its controls. Extremely tight. Wow. And, no. But, extremely tight in its controls. Its multiplayer is kind of where it falls flat for me. The whole, gather the coins, you have to get coins, to help build your robot avatar for multiplayer. the problem with that is one piece costs like 20 and I'm about 6 levels in for just the head of Metal Sonic. I'm not happy with that. There's also the distinct lack of Tails doll to play as, but look, you can play as Mecha Knuckles from fucking Sonic R. Don't see why I can't play as. Don't see why I can't play as Tails doll either. But yeah, okay, that's it for 8th gen. Moving on. Oh no, not quite. We're not quite done with 8th gen. I picked up 2 3DS games. So we've got Super Mario 3D Land. I really like 3D World, like a lot. So a game like that I can play on the go on the DS. Not necessarily on the Switch, but on the DS, big fan. I'm looking forward to playing that, actually. I think that'll be fun. And a game that most people have forgotten, and most people were hugely outraged by back in the day. Metroid Prime Federation Force. I'm not a Metroid fan. I've never been a Metroid fan. I have tried so hard to get into it, and a lot of people are going to kick me when I say this, but when I bought Metroid Prime Remastered, I was so abjectly... Well, I hated it. I thought it was terrible. So I sold every Metroid game I had short of Metroid Prime Hunters. I regretted that, because I wanted to try Metroid Prime 3, and I wanted to try Federation Force, because I never actually got around to it. So I picked this up again. Hopefully it'll be good. My last few attempts to get into Metroid with Dread and with Prime Remastered have been abject failures because they control like shit, and they are not my cup of tea by any stretch of the imagination, which is a pity. I'm going to take a break in the Nintendo crap now to talk about one game that I've picked up. This arrived 2 days ago, I think. 1 day, 2 days. Aeon Flux for the original Xbox. Not many people know this, but I'm a big fan of Majesco Entertainment. That is not a name you hear too often. Either anymore or even back then. They did an awful lot of weird games on the original Xbox. Advent Rising, which if you've seen my top 15 Xbox games, you'll know I love. Phantom Dust. They did Psychonauts. As in, they published it. They published all of these games. They published Psychonauts. They published Razor's Hell, Bloodbrain 1 and 2, and Aeon Flux. I mostly love their stuff for the sheer volume of different cheats in there. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes it's just nice to blitz through a game with a crap load of cheats in it. That's just nice, you know. Sometimes I just don't get to do that. Oh, my apologies. I did pick up a PlayStation thing. We're not done with PlayStation. Colony Wars. Colony Wars Vengeance. Don't know too much about it, other than it's kind of a sequel to the original Colony Wars. So, yeah, there we go. Just crossed my mind, because we're about to move... In a minute, we're moving into 5th gen, but we're going to stick with 6th for the minute. I mentioned earlier the Big 5 list that I had about 10 years ago. I did end up picking up Killer 7 on the PS2. However, I found it again on the GameCube, and I was intrigued by the fact this mother's on 2 discs. And this, to be fair, was the version I wanted back then anyway. It's just for 22 quid, which is how much it was on eBay, back when you could find decent games for a decent price on eBay. It was... how much was it? No, it was 22. This was about 30? 28? Something like that. But instead of getting just one game on the GameCube, I could have got a PS2 with a shitload more games. So I did. I did that instead. But I've picked up Killer 7 again. I'm hopefully going to be able to get into this one. I really couldn't for some reason. I just couldn't get into Killer 7 at all. Even though it's fucking bizarre, it really should be my cup of tea. So I'm hoping the GameCube version will be my saving grace on this. very similarly, I had a couple of games on the PS2 called Summoner and Summoner 2. I picked up Summoner, A Goddess Reborn on the GameCube. Admittedly, this is a German copy. Great. Fantastic. Still all in English, but at the same time it's in freaking German. It's in German, which, can't read the manual, which is always a bummer. I like reading a manual. Anyway, I've wanted this version of the game, though, for quite some time, and I picked it up last month for like 20 quid. So, whatever. Not complaining. So yeah, that's kind of it for 2nd Gen. It was only really well, no, it was only really 3 games, wasn't it? It was Aeon, Killer 7, and Goddess Reborn. I did pick up a bunch more GameCube games, but I can't for the life of me remember which ones it was. And because that was back in August. That might have been in New Game Junk, whatever the heck it was. I'm not going to be calling it that from anymore. I'm not going to be calling that anymore. It's just New Game Pickups. Because until I can think of a better name, because New Game Junk sounds like crap. Might even go back and rename the videos if I can, but we'll see. 5th Gen. 5th Gen. Been on a bit of a 5th Gen kick this month, kind of with Mario Golf. I've never really played this version of Mario Golf. My wife got me Toad Tour, I think it's called, on the GameCube. Not great, but I'm a sucker for anything kind of Nintendo 64, even if it's not a system I immediately go to when I want to play games. But yeah. The next item is, so far, my only boxed Nintendo 64 game, because I'm planning on doing a Turok. A Turok video. And this was in a shop that I frequent quite a lot in town. The following games are also all coming from that shop, by the way. Real standout place. Know the guy who runs it. Real nice guy. Often keeps a hold of quite a lot of stuff for me. But yeah, I'm a big Turok fan. I had this loose, but come on. It was there for like 15 quid. I had to grab it. And then I got rid of the loose one, because why keep it? No point. Rage Wars is pretty solid. It's kind of that time where basically everything had to be an arena shooter. Thank you, Quake. And thank you, Quake 3 in particular. Quake 3 was a real criminal in that respect. It was always, it has to be an arena shooter. Like how everything had to be a fucking battle royale after bloody Fortnite. But yeah, Turok Rage Wars. Very solid game. I've played it on and off over the years. Nowadays, I kind of just default to 3. But seeing as the remaster for 3 is coming out later this year, I kind of felt like I should own a new one. Official Nintendo Magazine Scale of Awesome. If you can see that. Yeah. Camera's not good enough to focus. That's what happens when you record on your phone, because your budget for that show isn't that big, because that all goes on video games. Moving on. I did pick up a couple of Mega Drive games, but I did the Mega Drive video a couple of weeks ago. And they're all on there anyway, so I'm just going to skip that. So, I was surfing through Facebook, as you do, when I just happened to come across aforementioned shop where I got Rage Wars from. And they show off an absolute metric bucket load of Sega Saturn games. As you may know, big Sega Saturn fan. Big Sega Saturn fan. Huge Sega Saturn fan. I'll get to the best item last. I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games for the Saturn I've never had before. We've had Quake. I've never owned Quake on the Saturn. From what who was this? I swear it was the same guys who did Duke Nukem. I swear it was. Who did Duke Nukem? It was the same guys who did Exhumed. Doesn't say. Naughty. Because it wasn't it, and it certainly wasn't Duke. who have made these particular ports. But from what I hear, this one's okay. I mostly want it because it unlocks Death Tanks Y, I think, in Duke Nukem 3D, if you play that, which, pretty cool. Pretty sick. This might be GT Interactive, actually. I don't know. Published by them. Jerkwads. Huge freaking jerkwads. And I will die on that hill. They are garbage. Daytona USA Championship Circuit Edition. I've got Daytona USA. Like the sheer volume of times I've walked into an arcade only to hear Daytona. How could I not get it? But I've never had this particular version. 2 extra circuits, split screen co-op, ghost car. I don't know if this is the online version, actually. Because believe it or not, if you're not a big Saturn person, the Sega Saturn was probably one of the first consoles to have online multiplayer. It had in a whole load of different stuff as well. I can't quite pin exactly what that stuff is, but yeah, it had a load of crap in it, which is sick. It had a lot of games for it that ran online. I think including... what did that include? Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem did. Or they were I think they were called online versions or like something like that. I don't really know. But yeah, the Saturn had online multiplayer before the Dreamcast made it like semi-mainstream. It had online multiplayer on a freaking console back in like 97, something like that. Mad. So this is a game I used to have maybe about 20 years ago. Yes, I'm feeling extraordinarily old. Lemmings 3D. Maybe not Lemmings 3D specifically, but I think we've all owned a copy of Lemmings at some point in our life. This was like 10 quid, I think. Bearing in mind pretty much all of it, all the Saturn stuff that I got recently, all traded. I had a bunch of stuff that I was going to trade in anyway, and then I saw that he had an absolute metric mountain of Sega Saturn stuff, so I had to go and get it. Lemmings kind of sucks. Lemmings kind of sucks. It hasn't aged as well as Worms has, let's put it that way, and it's certainly one of those franchises that you will never hear from again, unfortunately. Huge in the day. Massive. Hear from it again? Probably not. Okay, this one informs a future part of the video, because I'm down to the final 4 now. Virtua Cop 2. Now, I have Virtua Cop 2, I think. Yes. I have the Japanese version, though, so I kind of wanted to pick up the long box version of this game, because I really like light gun games. I do. I'm shit at them. But I don't have many for the Saturn. I had one, which was House of the Dead. And I had Virtua Cop 1. Virtua Cop 1. And Virtua Cop 2, Japanese version. But wanted the English one, even though it's the same freaking game and you don't need the light gun to play it. But it's a very good game. It's a very good game from what I'm given to understand. And when I get a light gun, I will play it, as well as a CRT TV, so that light gun will work. Next up, Die Hard Trilogy. A weirdly good-looking game, considering, like, weirdly good-looking, like, early Dreamcast level of quality? Like, holy shit. I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked at this too much. Even closes well. It's in good condition. Ooh, what a surprise. Yeah, very good condition. Fox Interactive, if anybody remembers that. I'm not a big Die Hard fan. I never really have been, but, you know, I think these are based off of arcade games or something like that. I don't really know, but I'm not a huge Not a huge Die Hard fan. But it's cool to own it because it's a Saturn game. It's kind of one a lot of people have talked to me about in the past and say it's really solid, so whatever. Cyber Speedway. Okay, so yeah, this is the second to last game. And Cyber Speedway, just kind of another racer. Most of my Saturn collection is either racing games, like Manx TT, Sega Rally Championship, because who doesn't have a good copy of Sega Rally Championship in their Saturn collection? Cyber Speedway, Scorcher, High Octane, Wipeout, lot of racing games. So this is just kind of another one to the pile, but it reminds me of F-Zero, more so in the car design. See there? Looks like crap. But, yeah. You know, I couldn't really say no. I couldn't really say no. I've been on a bit of an F-Zero kick. I'm even debating doing an F-Zero video down the line. Plan is clean house on all the games, except for the 64 disc drive version. That will be via a big old freaking EverDrive when I get round to buying it and just fill it full of 64DD games. But we're on the final item. The final item. I know I said when I get a light gun, but I got one. So, I got rid of my copy of House of the Dead, because this has a copy of House of the Dead, and it was like 10 quid difference for the gun. You don't see this too often, so I had to get it. Because it's cool. Because it's very cool. Ooh, if I can get it open without breaking it, that would be great. There we go. So yeah, it's all in there. Manual. Other manual, not as in good condition as that manual. The game, thankfully. Wee bit rickety. Actually, like, yeah, really rickety. Crikey. And of course, the main attraction. The Virtua Gun. As far as I'm aware, this is what was issued with Virtua Cop and Virtua Cop 2. Because I know they had big versions as well, and I think this was it. I remember these from the frickin' every arcade I went to had like Virtua Cop, or it had House of the Dead, or just, yeah. House of the Dead flat out is probably my favourite arcade game of all time. I've got the remake, I've picked up 2, I've picked up 3, which is there. I've picked up a couple on the Wii. I want to say there's a version of 4 on the PS3. And if there is, mine. But we'll see. I think it was Japan only, so I may have to track that down. And there was another one. I can't remember. If I was ever to own an arcade machine, it would 100% be House of the Dead. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful mess of a game. And not even a mess, just a bucket load of fun. Stupid, enjoyable. Oh, Typing of the Dead. That was it. I haven't got Typing of the Dead. Where is it? I haven't got Typing of the Dead. I even bought the bloody Dreamcast keyboard for a tenner years ago in the offshoot that I got Typing of the Dead down the line, but I never bothered to get round to it, which is just... It's a typing aid. It actually helps you to type faster. But yeah, that's it, guys. That is another video for another week on video game pickups. I'm not too sure what we're going to do next. Maybe that Turok video, because we've got the new Turok coming out. And I think that'll be enough. I think that'll be good. I think we'll be ready to go at that point. Okay, so that's it, guys. That's me signing off for another week, and I will see you next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share this, blah, 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 all that good stuff. And I will see you next time.